Hello everyone and welcome to my first instalment of the Icom IC R communications receiver tutorial. There's so many videos online but none of them actually go through the basic and the advanced operations of the radio. So let's get into it. So you've bought your Icom IC R, you're either new to the hobby, you're either an amateur and you're using this to receive and acquire signals in your shack, probably one of those two people, or you're an avid hobbyist who likes listening and you've bought this because it's a fantastic radio. So a few of the things this radio does not do: DMR, it will not cover DMR, which is digital mobile radio. If you want one that does cover DMR, you want the Uniden UBC 3600 XLT, possibly the AOR DV10, but the AOR DV10 is about £1,000. This is 580 quid. It covers all your normal bands: FM, FM narrow, AM, AM narrow, USB, LSB, CW, CWR, NXDN N and NXDN VN, P25 and Japanese DCR, which is Japanese domestic radio. All of those modes. If you're in the UK, which you probably will be, the only digital mode that you're probably going to hear is a little bit of P25. There's a fair bit of NXDN. DCR, you're probably not going to hear that, and P25 is few and far between as well. So in the first video we're going to go through the absolute basics. You've just opened it, what you're going to do. So the first thing, I'm going to turn the radio on. It's a power button on the side, hold it in. We are on. You'll get the welcome message, ICR30, battery level display. Now I'm in dual operation at the moment, so we're going to change that. Okay, so let's take it off my little stand and we'll have a play here. Hopefully this will focus. Has it focused? Has it focused? I think it has. Right, I'll tell you what, let's put it back on the stand because we're not getting very far here. Let's zoom out a bit. Yeah, we'll put it back on the stand just to make life easier for ourselves. Okay, so for the purposes of this video we're just gonna turn the backlight so it's permanently on. So let's do that. So menu, down to display, backlight on. Okay, so we're going to go through the absolute basics. So at the moment we are on band A, which is the main receiver. This has two receivers built in. You've got A band, B band. Don't think of them as bands actually, just think of them as places to be. A band will cover from, I think it's 0.1 to 3000 megahertz, and the B receiver, I'll have to double check, I think it's 30 to about 500, but I'll do that in a later video. I'm not too sure on that, so please don't quote me on that. So let's put this to scan, okay? And when you turn the radio on, it's going to be in the last state that you left it. It's not going to return to the default mode. When you turn it off, you turn it back on, it's going to come back on in exactly the place you left off. So let's just, right. So now we're on the VFO, the variable frequency oscillator, within FM narrow mode, okay? So what you can do here is generally you scan between scan edges, or you might directly input a frequency. So let's cover how to directly input a frequency. Bottom right hand corner, you'll see FNAIP, just there, press that. Screen goes blank, okay, but you can put in whatever frequency you like. So let's do that. We'll put in space station 145.8. So 145.800. Okay, we're not going to hear anything, but that is how you directly input a frequency. Really straightforward. Obviously that only works if you're in the VFO mode. If you're in scan mode or a memory recall mode, that function is not available. Okay, so 154.8, let's imagine we're not listening to FM, we're listening to an NXDN signal. Let's change that. So you go mode, FM, FM narrow, wide FM, AM, AM narrow, lower side band, upper side band, CW, CW reverse, D-star, forgot to mention D-star before, that's Icom's own standard, used by amateurs on the 2 and 70cm band. P25, DPMI, forgot about that as well, so that's digital personal mobile radio. So you know, you get your little walkie-talkies there, PMR, which is personal mobile radio. They operate in the PMR 446, they operate in the 446 megahertz band. DPMR also operates at 446 megahertz, but it's a digital standard. I don't hear much of that where I live. I live on the North Wales coast. I imagine if you're in a city, you will hear it. It's meant to be secure, but when they're selling us things like this, clearly it isn't. NXDN VN, so that's NXDN, which is also an Icom standard, very narrow, okay? NXDNN, NXDN narrow. Now NXDN VN and NXDN N is mainly used in a commercial setting, so the odd taxi company, building sites, factories. I've heard some marine users using it. It can be used for all manner of things. It is a secure protocol. However, if they're only using an RAN number, a random access number, this radio will listen to it regardless. If they encrypt it with an encryption key, you will not be able to hear it unless you know the key. Okay? DCR, Japanese domestic radio, pointless talking about it. You will not hear that in the UK. If you do, it'll be an imported cheap Wontongi radio. Let's just do NXDN VN. So NXDN VN, very narrow, right, if I recall, is either 3.125 megahertz wide or 6.250 megahertz wide. Okay. NXDNN, 12.5 megahertz wide. There we go. Okay, so we'll come out of there. That's that covered. So just to go through that again, if you've picked your frequency, it's not FM you want, you press mode, scroll down, say F, that one there, what we got there, AM narrow, that's picked there. Great, fantastic, really basic operation, great. Now, how do I scan? So you've just opened the radio, you want to scan the low, you want to try and pick up local taxi companies, okay? So we're in the PMR low band, so 140 to 240-ish, yeah? You'd have to program into this radio something called a scan edge. So you're going to tell it where you want to start scanning, where you want to stop scanning, what the steps are in between, and what mode you would like to scan in, okay? Sounds like a lot, it really isn't. So let's have a look at doing that. I've already got these set up, we'll set up a new one. So, menu, scan, okay? And then you're going to go down to P scan edge, program scan edge, okay? Now I've already got all of mine in, but for the purposes of this video we're going to set up a new one right there. So if we go into there, okay, at the moment it's blank. This top key here is quick on it, press that, edit. This, by the way, menu and enter, you use that to confirm all operations on this radio. Edit, name, so we'll call it, let's call it, tell you what, 1 minute, I'm going to get my glasses on. Hold on a second. Right, we are now armed with glasses. Right, so name, let's call it taxi. This is very long-winded, this, but Okay, so remember the old phones, the old Nokia phones, and you had to text using the keys back in the day? It's that simple. So if you're still one of the people that uses this kind of phone, then this is going to be really straightforward to you. So, hang on a minute, what have I done wrong here? Right. I'm on the wrong key. This is going well. T, there we go. T, A, over we go. X, G, H, I. Taxi. That's our name for our new scan edge. Frequency low. Okay? Frequency low. So what we're going to put in for this? Well, don't quote me on these figures because without the actual values in front of me, I really can't tell you. But if we go to, say, 150.000, alright, and when you go to the last O or the last digit, the radio knows this, so it's not going to ask you to confirm, it's just going to put it straight in. Okay? Frequency high. So this is where you want the scan to go to, then circle round and start again. Okay? Frequency high. We'll set that to 220.000. Okay? And when I put the last O in, it knew. Okay? Now, step. So this is the steps that you want the scanner to scan, the communications receiver to scan in. So from 150.000, it's going to jump in whatever you tell it to, these steps, all the way up to your upper scan edge. Okay? Now, you can, that line that you can enter so it doesn't put a step in. So you can decide the step, but you can do that anyway during the program. But let's, for the purposes of this video, let's pick a step. Now, in FM narrow, you're safe doing, there's that many users now, it did used to be just 5, 10, 15. We're going to go to 6.25, okay? So if we go to 6.25, you have to excuse me, there's a distance between the camera and the radio. 6.25, enter. Okay, so now that's put our step in. The next field you're going to get, mode. Now, as you get further on with the radio, you won't want to put a mode into your scan edges. You'll want to leave that blank because this allows you to choose the mode while it's scanning. This is particularly useful when you pick up a digital signal, because on FM it'll sound like a thumping, like a digital thump. If you're in FM, obviously that won't decode the digital. So you then, on the fly, can change it to NXDNN, P25. But majority of the time, in this particular band, we're going to be looking for FM. FM narrow. So, enter, FM narrow, that's picked. Fantastic. RF gain, again, you know, just, you can select the RF gain levels, okay? I mean, automatically the radio is set to maximum. There's no need to turn that down at this point. We'll set it to max. It does that automatically. And then the last one is right. Sorry, I know it's dimly lit. Right, so that's going to write that, your P-scan edge. Right, yes. Taxi. So, you've put in your first scan edge. You're ready to look for signals. Let's do a scan. We might not hear nothing. We should do. The Coast Guard are fairly active today. There's some local companies. We should hear something. So from there, you've just put that in. This arrow here, back, back, back. So we're now back in our VFO, our variable frequency oscillator. All right. Now we want to scan the scan edge we've just put in. So press scan. Okay. Now here are all my scan edges. From the top, we'll go through them all. Auto memory write channels. Now this radio has an option where you can leave it to scan, and it will automatically save any signals it picks up and move on. Okay, we're not going to scan that today. From there, all, so that's absolutely every scan edge you've got in that radio, it'll just scan away. band. There are preset bands in this radio. I think they're all in there. Absolutely every one, all the way to 3000. We'll leave that for now. And then we will carry on. So I've got PMR, DPMR. Let's go down to hours. Don't worry, taxi. There's the one we've put in. Obviously, if this is your first one, it'll be at the top of that list. Press enter. And that's scanning away. Okay. That's a digital signal. Now I happen to know that is nothing. It's just a little transponder. So, oh, by the way, when you want to stop scanning, okay, let's start that again. So scan, taxi, enter. When you want to stop the scan, press the scan button, it'll stop. Unlike a Uniden, there are no pause and hold. That there, from experience, I know it's nothing. Okay, it's stopped on this. It won't move on because it's receiving a modulated signal. Give it a turn in that direction. That there is a trunk network. You will not pick up a trunk network on this radio. Carry on. Now, we might hear something here, we may not. I don't expect to. Okay, now if you... That's nothing. Now we're going to carry... We are inside at the moment. It's too noisy outside to do the video for the time being. Okay, so going to carry on going in the step that we put in. Let's say we're not happy with the step we've chosen. We want to change it. We want to move through this a little bit quicker. Okay, so stop it. You don't have to stop it, but it's easier. Number 9, TS. I can now choose the steps I want to do. So let's increase it to 12.5. Okay. And then scan, taxi. Now that's going to move quicker now because I've put 12.5 in. So this knob here, okay, it'll scan in the direction you turn that knob. So let's go that way. We're going back the way we came. If I was to leave that go, it'd go all the way to our top frequency, which I believe is 220. Start again at 150. Okay, that's nothing. Okay, so you get the gist. You get the idea of putting in a scan edge and scanning between two frequencies, okay? So, let's move on to something else regarding the scan feature. We'll go through memory channels in the next video. Okay. The scan, so we stop the scan. Don't have to do that, but I'm doing it. Now we want to tell this, when it hears something, what does it do? Does it carry on? Does it listen to it for a little bit? Does it hold on the audio until the audio is finished, then move on? So this is scan pause, scan resume. So menu, that was my bum. Scan, okay, pause timer. Now mine's set to hold. Now what that means, let's just say we were scanning then, we picked up a safety broadcast from the local Coast Guard, which is Holyhead Coast Guard. They can be 5, 6, 7 minutes long, sometimes longer. That means that it will not move on with the scan until it has stopped receiving a modulated signal. Now notice I didn't say stop receiving voice, the radio doesn't know if someone's speaking or not. It doesn't care. If you're receiving white noise, it's going to hold on to the white noise until that white noise is finished, okay? I've got it on hold for the benefit of my memory channels because I've got it that sharp now, the radio. I generally don't pick up much static, so you can have it on hold. So just to confirm, hold will hold on to that channel until it doesn't receive anything, then move on. You can set it to a number of seconds, but we're going to, so that can be useful if you're in a very, very busy built up city, you're looking for a particular channel. You can just get a snapshot of what's happening for a couple of seconds, move on, move on, move on. If you're looking for a particular user, then you can do that. We'll set that to hold. We're on hold. Right, resume timer. Okay, let's go to that. Now, resume timer is when it has finished listening to the audio. This is the amount of time it'll wait before it moves on. Okay. Now mine's set to 2 seconds, which is quite a short amount of time, but when you're sitting there waiting it can feel like an age. But if you're listening to a two-way conversation, say a taxi dispatcher and the taxi driver, 2 seconds is about enough for that driver to get back. Okay, if you don't want to hear that, set it to 1 second. As soon as that audio is finished, it will carry on. Okay, also notice at the bottom it's set to hold. Yeah, generally that means that it won't move off that channel until you tell it to. So scan resume timer, this is the amount of time it will wait after it's finished receiving a signal to move on. I'm going to set that to 2 seconds, I'm sorry. Okay, what other things in there have we got that there's nothing for the time being. We're going to come back and do other things in other videos. Okay, now then, you may have noticed when we were scanning before, in the top corner there's AFC, automatic frequency centering. Okay, now let's just say that Coast Guard transmission, I'll tell you what we'll I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's just say the Coast Guard transmission is on 157.050, okay, but the radio is actually on 156.995. Automatic frequency centering, because the channel is X amount of kilohertz wide, will lock onto the channel and automatically tune in, because it's only a short space away from where you actually are. Okay, it will tune in. If the channel is very, very close, you'll hear little pips and then it will tune in. It's difficult to do for you at the moment because there's no one broadcasting. Okay, if you turn that off, yeah, you'll have to be bang on the frequency to hear the audio. And to be fair, it's a nice feature, but if it didn't have it, it wouldn't be a massive issue, but it's a very handy feature to have, to turn that on and off. Quick. And then in here you've got a few things we'll cover. AFC. Okay, I've got it on just to turn it off like that. Okay. That's it for the time being, guys. I hope this was informative. I'm going to do a series of videos covering absolutely everything about this receiver. We'll do some field tests, we'll do some live streams, we'll do all kinds of things. These videos will be a lot more polished when I've got a bit of editing software, a new lens for the camera, a microphone, things like that. Hope you liked it. Feel free to comment. Let me know if I've made any mistakes or whatever, but this is the first tutorial video I found. So many thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon.